Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. Yeah, sure.
A question, I guess it would be geared towards that health industry. I'm assuming there's got to be some licensing involved in order to do that. Now, would you?
Some of the industries, and we haven't got to there yet, but for example, substance abuse, there's a lot of licenses. In America, the worst states are Florida, New Jersey, and a couple others. The easiest states are right-to-work states, Nevada, Texas. Also, California is a hard state. Because the business broker, which you shouldn't use, but you're going to use them, tells you, well, we can get the licenses transferred, no problem. That's a fucking lie. That is a bald-ass, 100% lie. Because you can't. And we want to buy the companies. So we want to buy the assets so we don't have prior, current, and future liabilities. They're going to want to sell you the company because they want to shove the prior liabilities, the current liabilities, and the future liabilities. So there's always a standoff. But in the way that normally gets resolved is because if there's licenses to be transferred, and not all the healthcare stuff have licenses, but surely substance abuse is one that does have a license. Licenses, not just one license. It's transferred normally with the company. So you have to buy the company assets in a whole, a corporate entity. But we get into all that in the next couple of days. But it's no coincidence. 1,200 cold calls for his first deal, and that's why I say 2,000 cold calls, and you're not home free by any stretch of the imagination, but you certainly can do a deal. You can certainly do a deal. And his part of Europe is not any harder. There are other parts. I won't say it's impossible in Russia, but it's very difficult. I won't say it's impossible in the Ukraine, but it is difficult. The more Eastern Bloc they were back in the day, the harder it is to do QLA. Because by definition, they don't believe. If you think you don't believe, because you don't believe, I just see in your faces, those cocksuckers don't believe anything. They can't believe that you can do transactions without bribery. When we get the guy from Hungary, who's the hospital magnate now, and Hungary is closer to the Russian mentality than it is to the British mentality for sure. It's hard. It was hard for them to believe that he was able to pull it off as he has, and as he continues to. It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. But he hasn't done anything that's spectacular. It really hasn't. The first deal was 2.4 million, or what I think he said. But he's now, I'm not going to share, because he didn't share it, so I'm not going to share it. But the stuff that he's written me in preparation for this, he's doing spectacular. I mean, he wouldn't have been able to do it. And important, he said it a little different than I said it, or I say it, I should say. He looks at the support, emotional support from somebody else. Okay. But he has no kids. He has no nagging fucking wife or girlfriend. He doesn't deal with his parents. He left that part out. So what baggage does he have? You've got all that baggage. He doesn't. And he's got a supportive brother. He's the only guy, I guess, or the only family member that he deals with. It'd be better if he didn't have a brother. Families, you cannot say families without saying lies. Families. And we all have, everybody's got a crazy uncle or aunt or your mother or everybody. Every fucking family's got one. Unfortunately, some families got a bunch of them because they're inbred fucking pig fuckers. Now, all the inbred people in America aren't from Kentucky. They have other inbred as well. But he just, he didn't give up. And I remember beating him. But he did say, although he denies it now, he didn't know HBO from CFO. I forget how he put it. He didn't. He still doesn't. He still doesn't. But it's, and he's not a powerful salesman. He's none of those things. But I'm glad he shared. I didn't know if he was going to share the part about puking. Now, I knew that. Mr. Slim over here, Chubby over here, said cold calling, he doesn't understand. I forget how you put it, but you don't understand why cold calling is such a problem for all these people. Well, we'll watch you figure out how you go through it. Other people have flapped their lips about that too. The only cold calling motherfucker that I've known that's ever sat in this room or the old seminar room is me. We had the leading Mercedes salesman and the leading BMW salesman for the UK come through the seminar a few years back. Separate seminars. And now these guys, in the days of just sitting in the showroom, they used to call them, when you go into a showroom, there's two different ways of sales in car rooms. Sales. I'm not talking about used cars, I'm talking about new cars. One, you're on the up system, meaning, let's say we've got 6 salesmen. The first guy that comes in the door is for you, and the next guy's for you, and the next guy. That's called the up salesman. If you're next, you get to sell the poor fucker, or try to sell the poor fucker that comes through the room. But then you have to wait till the end of the line before you get another up. Okay? Then there's every man for his fucking self Chinese warfare methodology, where everybody just jumps on anybody's prospect. Those are the ones I liked, because I was always big and strong, and I could take prospects away from other salesmen. Literally, rip them away. But when this Mercedes guy and this BMW guy came through the seminar different times, they both told me, we have never, separately, different ways, we have never heard anyone ask if it comes down to cold calling in so many different ways. Both of these guys were professional salesmen. We never, Dan, I never heard. And I said, well, you just stick around here. You'll hear all kinds of different, but because you didn't go to school to be a salesman. When your parents sent you to school to be an engineer, it didn't say engineer in charge of used car sales, did it? Being a salesman, as I said earlier this morning, even when your dad was a salesman, he was something kind of engineer. It's not I think it's the salt of the earth. Because until something gets sold, nothing happens in life. And I just happen to be a selling motherfucker that has taken his skill sets up. I sell nations. But both of these guys, but I gave both of these guys ideas how to increase their sales. And why they never thought of it, I don't know. But fortunately, they weren't in the same seminar, and both of them, increased their productivity. And when you're the number one in the country for BMWs, and you're the number one in the country for Mercedes, you got nowhere to go but down. But I gave them a little secret sauce that I used to use, and they both looked at me like, fuck. It's so obvious. Why didn't we think of it? But it's not for the YouTubers. They both, instantly, they said, God almighty, that's a great idea. Because I'm a selling motherfucker, though. I can sell anything to anybody. Ice to Eskimos, all those metaphors and analogies, you name it. I can make hookers pay me. And have had hookers pay me. Well, any other? Yes, sir.
Now, I'm not familiar with selling. I'm not a salesman. I have no kind of experience.
You know who you look? You look like General Flynn, Lieutenant General Flynn, the guy that Donald Trump just pardoned. That's who you look like. Got a short hair. I mean, okay.
Is that a compliment?
Yes, you fucking ain't right. Hey, you look better than you are, so that's good.
That's good.
Okay, go ahead.
So
just a minute. Will you go tell Edward I need another iced coffee, please? Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, before coming here, I thought, how hard can this cold calling be? And I sat down at a cafe on a Saturday after work and after doing whatever I had.
You hadn't been drinking?
No.
Okay.
And
cold calling's easier when you're drunken, but go ahead.
I started looking for companies outside my area because I didn't want to burn myself, because I didn't want to
so far, so good.
I didn't want to do anything before coming here. And I counted them. I even have them listed right here. I called 25 companies in less than an hour looking for the owners. Just going off.
And what's the result of that?
Good.
Did you get how many owners did you get through to?
I got to plenty of them. But when I got to board members or people that were protecting them, I didn't know how to go through. But I even got through to people that were interested in selling their company and to follow up with them.
It's not that hard.
No.
Believe me, I know that. I've been doing this 50 fucking years. I couldn't agree with you more. And back in the day, a long time ago, I was the guy puking. I remember at that time, I thought $500-$600 was a lot for a pair of shoes. Okay. Now my laces cost more than that. Not on these shoes. These are my therapeutic shoes so I can walk around here for my artificial knees. But I blew out 2-3 pairs of shoes, and $500-$600 was a lot of money to me in those days. Like this. Yeah, but I mean, it's not, in the infamous words of Bruce the Whipple, you don't ask, you don't get. And Bruce is a polished, professional, high and lofty kind of salesperson. I'm not. I'm a hammer closer. You're gonna buy from me, or I'm gonna knock your fucking teeth out. That's it. You're going to die, you're going to buy, or you're going to go out parallel to the ground. But whereas the new modern sales, and the closest to that sales technique, as far as I can tell, is the Wolf of Wall Street straight line. Although I've never used the Wolf stuff, or I've never used Grant Cardone's stuff, I've never used Dan's stuff, Locke. All are pretty good, but the closest that I can tell from you guys, feedback I get from you guys, is the straight line of the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not suggesting you don't have to get that, because we're going to show you the scripts. It's volume. Remember he said when he was falling behind, he says, it's just output. I needed to increase the output. And it's not hard. It just isn't. If you follow the scripts, and as remember Margot said, and funny enough, they work. I don't think it's so funny. Do you think I'd send you out there with shit that didn't work? Do you think I'd send you out there with a gun with no fucking bullets in it? Well, most of the other guys are sending you out there, there are no bullets in the gun. Or they're blanks. Or they sound good, but they don't kill anybody. This shit works. And I mean, this seminar is different from the seminar I gave 3.5 weeks ago, because we've updated it based on the successes of you kids out in the field. They may not want to talk to you. Like he was hesitant. I'm thankful that he did talk to you. But most, they don't want to talk to you. But they will talk to me, not on camera. So the stuff that's been updated, you got the current shit. When you leave here, the last day you get a thumb drive that's got a bunch of gigs on it. It's not if you follow the scripts. But if you've never we had a polished sales guy here 4 or 5 years ago. He was getting married to a nice Chinese lady doctor. And at the wedding, she told me, the first day when it was time for him to start cold calling, now this guy's a professional, big time, he sold big software packages and shit like this for big companies, okay? That's a different kind of sale. And he says he stared at the phone 45 minutes and didn't pick up the phone. And then finally she said, and she's a doctor, doesn't know shit about sales, she says, what, are you going to stand there like a cunt all day, or are you going to pick up the phone? And that didn't get him to pick up the phone. But the next bomb she dropped on him, I'm calling Dan Peña right now. He picked up, I was like lightning. He picked up that fucking phone, like lightning. But it's one thing to talk about selling, and it's another thing to selling. I've sold door to door. That's a humiliating. Lucinda Burke, God love her, she sold knives door to door while she was in college. You sell door to door. One of our Hall of Famers, a Jehovah's Witness guy, used to knock on the doors to raise money. They come in the suits and they sell you shit. He said, rejection was nothing to me. I got rejected all the time. Because you mistakenly feel that rejection is personally directed at your emotional state. It's personally directed at you as a human being. That's not what it is at all. I don't want any. It slams the door in your face. Got nothing to do with you. You just happen to be the black, yellow, purple guy standing there. And when I figured that out finally, it's just like, I've said this, my kids hate this, especially our daughter. There used to be a place called the Library in Manhattan. When men were men, and I mean before AIDS. And they would have a buffet about 1.5 times longer than this room. Both sides of the buffet, all you could eat. From Thursday about 3 o'clock in the afternoon till Saturday about 5 in the evening. The drinks, the call drinks, in other words, if you wanted Jack Daniels and soda, the drinks came down and were like $1.75. Well drinks, non-call drinks, $1.25. And the place was fucking heaving. You couldn't move. Okay? This is not just before Corona, but before AIDS. And the bar had about 106 or 108 seats. It was called the Long Bar. Well, thank you. And I used to start at one end and just, I skipped the guys. It was almost all the seats were taken by girls, and the guys would squeeze in between the seats. And, I never got past 20, 30% because I'd ask them to fuck the gals. I never got past the 25th or 30th seat. Never. Some of the real ugly guys, and I've been accused of a lot, but ugly's not one of them. The little fucking, like some of you little, with a 2-centimeter dick, and your eyes sunken back in your head, had to go to 60 or 70, but they still got fucked. As long as they follow the steps, and the steps were, you don't ask, you don't get. And now I get people wanting to hire me to teach them how to get laid. It's a fucking embarrassment. Yes, sir.
Last month, I talked to a man I know, and he
Could
told...
you speak up a little, please?
Last month, I talked to a man I know, and he told the same thing you are telling now, because he used to be a salesman, now retired. And he said, I had 2 methods. One, I went to their places of business before they opened, 7 o'clock, and I stayed there until the end of the day. After 5 days, he said, eventually someone is going to sell you something. The other thing was, he went at night when they are weak, they can't concentrate, and I come with all my questions. And he said, eventually they are going to say yes to everything you say.
When I was selling big ticket items on Wall Street, and I was trying to sell the TWA pension plan, something. And if I can't get through the gatekeepers, I mean, nobody can, because I'm a hard fucker. But anyway, I couldn't get through. And I needed to see this guy, I needed the commission is what I needed. Okay, at the end of the day, that's what you need, the commission. And I found out where he lived. Lived in a big, swanky neighborhood. His driveway was about 200 or 300 yards long, which isn't such a long driveway, but I parked my rented car at the bottom of his hill where he lived. I went up and knocked on the door, and his wife says, "Oh, James isn't going to be home maybe till early in the morning. You want to come in and have a cup of coffee?" Most wives are nice, you know. I look like this. I don't look like a fucking bum. I said, no, I'll just wait out in the car, ma'am. I don't want to be in any trouble. 3 o'clock in the morning, I get this pounding on the window. And I get out of the car, and it's him. "What the hell are you doing here? How'd you find out where I live? You haven't bothered my wife." And bam, 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 bam. Welcome. And I told him, I said, "God damn." He said, "Oh, come on in, let's have a drink." Anyway, so I went in there, and my goal was I was not leaving that fucking house until he bought. He didn't know that. He's just being polite to ask me in. You asked me in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, if you're a woman, sex is going to happen. If you, we're going to have a drink. He used that story to motivate his sales forces for 20, 25 years till he retired. I had to fly to the city he lived in. But that cocksucker was buying. And he bought. I got a jillion stories like that. Now, to put that effort to make $2,000 or something ain't worth it. But I was going to make like a couple $100,000. I'll fly to the city for 200. In those days I wouldn't. Now I wouldn't. But anyway, 200,000. Ran a big Mercedes car. Should have had a driver. Would have been made better, but I didn't. I just had the car. This, and it puts doubt, not the kind of doubt I was talking about earlier. Well, fuck, if this kid is going to all this trouble, I got to take a better look at this. And all you want to do is put a little doubt in their mind, in your favor. Then you got them. And we're not doing anything illegal. We're not doing anything immoral. But we're also not playing to the conventional wisdom that's currently on the planet now. We had a guy, I used to go into banks. It's already after I had money. I'd go, Bank of America's opening a branch on wherever it is. And I happened to be in the city, my staff would tell me. I'd go there, and I'd be the first guy to walk through the door of a new branch. If Bank of America or Lloyd's or whoever's opening up a branch, there's several things that you know for a fact. Number one, they've done a lot of market research. Number two, it's full of money. And number three, has no customers. And I'd go in and ask to see the bank manager. And I'd ask him, you have all these scripts, what his personal lending limit was. And he'd tell me, and I said, well, God, it's Allah's will, destiny. That's exactly what I came here to need. I need, your personal lending limit is $50,000. I need $49,500. And I wouldn't leave until I got it. We'll send you the paper. No. Now, I've had guys get in trouble, YouTubers, meatheads, that go to banks. I've had YouTubers arrested in banks because they go to the bank and say, we're not leaving until I have $50,000. And then they get arrested. That's how stupid. And that's the difference between the YouTube meatheads and the kids that are here. We've had people arrested. We've had people arrested, do you want to have sex? You want to fuck? Of course, they do it in the lady that's sitting next to them in their office. They didn't go to the long bar, which was famous for getting laid. And 50% of the girls in there, were there for that purpose. I had a guy drummed out of the military on a psych evaluation because he went and he told some secretary, he says, I want you to masturbate me till I come in your face. Now, what kind of shit, how does that fall into, I want to make friends and influence people? I mean, because there is stupidity out there. Any other questions about the kid? The kid's done good. I mean, but he didn't give up. And I remember those two he was working on so long, and I said, these guys are just jerking you off. And they were. Then you get embarrassed. Now, that's why we did away with the mentor program, because when I looked at the stats, it wasn't worth. I would rather influence more people than spend time with meatheads that aren't doing. And we realized that there was not 5% difference, whether I mentored them or I didn't mentor them. What it did show is people took longer in the mentor program because you used me as a crutch. You used me as a crutch. But he's done terrific. He's done terrific. He's on his, he's on his way. And just a little meathead. Doesn't look like, anything special. Smart kid, though. Smart. I'll give him that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a question. He had mentioned something about when he got involved in the deals that actually the banks were what were slowing up some of those transactions. Is there anything to help speed that up? Because I know a lot of times that time will kill a deal.
There is no way to make the banks run faster until you have a track record. Marcus Bauer can shove a deal through a bank in 10 days. But he's done 82 jillion deals. But that's why we like seller finance, because you can do a deal in seller finance 24, even meatheads like you, 48, 72 hours. No problem. Because it's, at the end of the day, it's the commercial banks that slow the deals down. It's the commercial banks. But once you've done a jillion deals, the banks, you can get a deal done pretty quickly. Yes, sir.
On that note, does seller finance deals count towards your track record?
Of course it does. Now remember, in your executive summary, we haven't got to that part, but when you put down, the area you're going to consolidate, you have 185 years of experience. The board has done $82 jillion dollars in deals, numbers in the hundreds of the thousands, whatever the number is, and you're blowing smoke, and the healthcare is growing at 7% a year, and it's projected to grow, especially in Corona, at 9% a year for the next 10 years. About all this shit. Okay. And then you list the profiles of your board members. And then you almost everybody in this room don't even put your profile in, because it's only going to detract. I laugh about it. It's not funny, because you haven't accomplished shit. You won't even put your profile, and nobody's even going to miss it. You go through the work, and you contacted, and then you send them the shit, and then they don't ask you, well, where's your profile? Because you add no value. And the problem when you get in the add value conundrum is you don't add value. In a couple of cases, you do. We had a healthcare professional lawyer here last seminar. 35 years experience. Even I knew his name. I was surprised to see him sitting here. But he adds value. But for the most part, and when you have your first board meeting, it will become intuitively obvious immediately when the 6 or 8 or 9 guys and gals get around the table and they all look at you and you don't add any value. Just as I didn't add any value back in the day. And that's why you need to have your chairman, or chairperson now, because some of the guys have gals for chairman, step into the breach when your in-house lawyer says, with the greatest respect, and this is why you don't have dinners before the board meeting, when everybody's drinking and say, I've been looking, why are we all here? This kid doesn't add any value. Let's just take the deal and run. And that's happened. Then what do you do? Well, we're going to teach you what to do. But I learned from the Onassis group, you don't argue about cutting up the cake until you have it baked. And when we go through, starting tomorrow, when we go through the interviewing process for your potential board members, and if they say anything other than what we're going to show you, then you got the wrong person next. And now it's even easier to get these people because now, not everybody, but almost everybody will accept a Zoom or a Skype or whatever those other kind of methodologies, because it's the norm now. I don't, but I mean almost everybody else, because now they're, corona sensitive. Instead of, PC, now it's PC topped up with corona. I know it's a shitty thing to say. I hope it lasts forever. I swear to you, I do. And if you knew the corona stats like I know them, we're a lot closer it lasting forever than all the bullshit everybody's putting out. The first rule of crisis management, and Trump got fucked up about this, is you don't tell the people the truth because they can't take the truth. You lie, you fabricate. In 1940, 41, and 42, when Britain was losing the war, did Churchill tell them they were losing the war? No. He lied. That's where we are with corona. Masks and social distancing, just like security at the airports after 9/11, are, in my judgment, here forever. And that's good for us. You heard how he described the sellers. But until you make that call, until, you see the hesitation. Anything else about
I was going to go back to selling when you were talking about selling.
Okay, go ahead.
You said to plant in their mind the doubt of, if you go through all that trouble, it might be worth looking into. But is there also...
Oh, no, you lost me. Say that again, please.
When you, as a seller, you plant in their mind that you go through all this trouble, they think, it might be worth looking into.
Oh, when I went to the guy at the bottom of his driveway, yeah.
So, but what I see is, do people feel compelled to buy something? Do they feel obligated?
No. For $5, yeah. For $5 million, no. Yeah, they do, and that's called mercy selling. Some girls. Now, I don't know about the current crop of fucking corona bitches, but they used to call it a mercy fuck. There was a movie put out in late 40s, early 50s, one time before he dies, or I die. And it was about a young Marine, 17-year-old Marine. At the end of the movie, I'll go fast forwarding. The Japanese are coming, yada, yada, yada. I forget which island it was on. And they were there with a good-looking nurse. And they used to tease him because he was a virgin. And at the end of the movie, they die getting fucked. The 70-year-old, a mercy fuck. Well, occasionally, you'll get a mercy fuck because somebody feels sorry for you. But it's hard to get a mercy fuck on a Skype call or on a Zoom call. But occasionally they will. But these guys and gals are scared shitless about their business and they want to get rid of it. And as he pointed out very aptly, he says they wish they had sold it before. And they didn't. And in the scripts, now it's hard for me to play this card. I'm saving you. I'm your exit. Probably nobody's going to buy your business, Mr. Jones. I'm your exit. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Everybody understand what that means? Don't look a gift. Okay. And for some of these people, you will be the gift horse in the mouth. But it's hard for me to, because see, if you say no to me, I'm just going to go to the next business and the next business until somebody says yes. Virtually 99% of the people, the reason why it takes them so long is because they spend so much time finding a prospect as opposed to a suspect. And they don't want to let loose of it, and so they beat it to death, and then and they don't buy. Excuse me, they don't allow you to buy from them. They don't sell. And again, certain ethnicities waste your time because they're trying to indirectly find out how much their business is really worth. So they'll go through the sales process with you to see you go get financing, etc., just to see what it's worth. What is a bank willing to lend this idiot, you, the idiot, to buy my piece of shit? A lot of people are time wasters. I mean, most of Asia are time wasters. China and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and India and fucking Malaysia, time wasters. Any questions about? Okay, YouTube, thank you.